Like so I linked up with Ben, like his whole, like you mentioned the whole, we were talking about like my how I started here and how
Coming to the international.
yeah, how I linked up
festival.
with Ben, and it was like, you know, Ben already was friends with McGee, like Ben brought people up here already,
Right.
and you know I linked
McGee,
up
who founded it.
who found McGee McIlvaine and Ben Herson, and they collaborated, and like because I have a mutual, Ben and I have a mutual friend. I was introduced to Ben through a friend of ours named Dave Sharma, who's a drummer as well. And Ben Ben and Dave came to this trade show I was doing, because I was at the time I was like on a regular like demoing, like I was working for Rain doing demos for the mixers, and he saw that like he came at the beginning of the trade show, and it was like maybe like 3 or 4 hours of me DJing, you know, as they walked around, what have you. And he came back, he was like, wow, he started off strong and he's still going on strong. He's like,
Right.
I think I could use this dude. So it's like
Understatement.
yeah, so long story short, like he contacted me. He was like, yeah, you know, there's this festival, you know, we're trying to put together up in Connecticut. And I was like, what is it? He was just like an international hip hop festival. I'm like, okay. So his whole idea was like to have me centralized as the DJ for the night, you know, open up the night, but like to make things flow.
Because he had seen how you set up, was responsible with the whole thing, and still lasted through, knowing there would be so many different artists.
Right, so he
different language kind of
Yeah.
accents, because they're coming from international countries.
So he wanted to be centralized rather than like, and also like create a flow rather than like, okay, now the next guy with his DJ is gonna come up and has to like tear down this. So he wanted it to like just flow, and it was it was like from that point on, like you know, I kind of like had just been rocking with the international festival.
And those are some of my favorite moments, where it's in between the actual artist performing, where instead of having dead space, you're playing, you're actually DJing. Because it's not the hip hop music festival or the rap festival, it's the international hip hop festival. So to see you throughout that, like today in the background of this interview, we have the DJ and producer showcase.
Right.
But like we used to have DMC, we used to have different things. You being there is really representing that DJ living it, not just talking about it in a lecture.
Right.
I talked to you last night about kind of being in a flow, almost a meditative state.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize you are there, exactly like you were alluding to, through the whole show.
Yeah.
So, I asked Boo, are there times where you just want to like jump off the stage and go get some water, or you can't really, or are you in that deep state?
Yeah, like it gets to the point where it's like, and like I mentioned that to you also, it's like the moment I stop is when everything catches up. It's like, oh, I'm actually thirsty. It's like, I haven't gotten to the bathroom in like 5 hours or whatever. It's like, so it's like, it's one of those things, like even like I used to work at a record shop called Fat Beats, on 6th Avenue.
Shout out, legendary Fat Beats. I had the pleasure of seeing Boo a couple of times while he was there.
Like 6th and 8th, and it was one of those things, it's like after a long day of like dealing with, customers and just listening to music all day, it's like, I remember coming home and one of the first things I would do is like, I would practice.
Wow.
So it's like, it was one of those things where it's like, as tired as I was just like, it's like, like it was kind of like my means of like, kind of like relaxing.
Wow.
Like just like, it was one, and I remember mentioning it to somebody, it's one of the things I could probably do without sleeping, like without getting really tired of doing it.
When you're in that zone, you can actually forget that you're hungry,
Yeah, exactly.
And you can come out that zone and be like, damn, I'm really hungry now. And then you look at the time.
To be quite honest with you, like maybe the first 2 years I did the festival, that would happen, because it's like not only I'm DJing, but like, a lot of people don't see what happens beforehand. It's like we're setting up, and then it's like, it's not just setting up, it's like, oh, the artists are here now, we have to do sound check.
Right.
So it's like, it's not like, as a performer, as a DJ, like my job starts when doors open. My job started like 3 hours before that, from setting up to doing sound check and what have you. And again, it's like I started doing my thing, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm just kind of like in the zone, listening to the listening to the music, listening to the artists, watching the crowd. And then it's like, if like a band, full blown band comes up, or someone brings their own DJ, and it's like, I stop. I'm like, holy cow, I haven't eaten. and I was like, I can't really leave. Like, it's like, so it's like,
So
there is that
Yeah.
you know, almost like meditative kind of like,
Yes.
you know, zone, kind of like monk kind of state of mind where it's
Yes.
like, I'm in it.
You could really say that the same thing that people try to achieve with meditation
Yeah.
and certain religious practices, we achieve when we're like when I'm rapping in the zone. There's a moment where I don't know what I'm saying, but if the energy is right with you playing the beats and the crowd has got the right energy, I don't feel like an individual. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's happening. I'm not trying to get a check from someone or approval.
Right.
I'm just part of this collective flow that's happening.
Yeah.
And that, I'm pretty sure that's what people are trying to attain sometimes through religion and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And you might
yeah.
say, well, that's not related to hip hop, but it definitely is.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a way, I like.
Now, this course is called Living Hip Hop, right?
Right.
So I say that with the caveat that that doesn't mean if you pick up a mic or get on a turntable, that's going to happen.
Right. No, like for me, when you're saying that, like, you know, reaching those states of mind, like in a way, it's like, you know, if you want to think of hip hop and its origins and what it was used, it was like this creative path to like escape, like whether it's, you know, a really poor reality, or like a reality that you wanted to get out of.
Absolutely.
But it's like, you know, if you take that further, it's like even when your reality is better, it's like you still go through those places of comfort when you're in stress.
Right.
You know, so it's like whether it's you know, you break out your black book and whatever, or you know, you write a verse, or like for me, like, you know, on a little bit lighter note, it's like, yeah, like I could do this for hours on end without eating or sleeping, but also at the same time, it's like it's messed up my social life in the sense of like, you know, I've had girlfriends be like, it's like you're always like, you know, you're always late because, you know, you're listening to music, or you're
They feel like you're cheating on them.
Yeah, you know,
not with
it's
the
like,
person, but
it's like this is my thing, you know, like you know, this, you know, that like as
that's funny.
you know, as an artist or what have you, it's like when you're impassioned by the thing that you're doing, it's
Right.
like it really becomes part of you. It's like, you know, like,
Well, that's a good segue. I got one more question, and that's a good segue to it. You want to have relationships. You don't want to end up being a cranky, bitter, miserable person, but you want to be able to go into these deep states of doing what you do, and you're getting better all the time.
Right.
Right. You're not like this idea that a novice has, like, am I cool yet? It's like, it's not, are you cool yet? It's a lifelong. You can
oh yeah,
always
no,
get better.
it's kind of like,
But wait, let me say this though. Having said that, you still want to balance relationships.
Yeah, of course.
And you already started talking about how a lot of people don't realize, yeah, you're on there longer than all the artists, and you're doing a lot more in your time spent, but you're also dealing with different personalities, and there's conflicts that come up. So like, whether it's in your personal life, I have a wife, we have relationships, family. There's conflicts that come up, but you love these people,
Right.
but you still have conflicts.
Yeah, of
you
course.
love these artists you're performing with and respect them. Sometimes they're legendary, sometimes they're new.
Right.
You respect them, but you also see sometimes they're being a little bit impatient or
Right.
arrogant. Can you talk about how hip hop and your practice and your living, forget practice, your living of hip hop helps you deal with the fact that sometimes you're working with people you love, but there are challenges to it?
well, I mean,
Because I've never seen you walk off the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
know there's moments where it's like, why am I here?
yeah. I mean, you know, I guess I want to come from that school of like, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all.
Okay.
You know, and also the fact it's like, and it's not all artists, but some artists are, you know, like some people have their, you know, we're all different. You know, I try to be as patient as possible, as accommodating as possible.
Okay.
You know, and like, I don't know if hip hop taught me that, or, you know, like, it's just good upbringing by my parents or what have you.
Right. Shout out to Boo's parents.
But like, I think.
Shout out to Filipino culture.
I think once you start doing the music, you find your common ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, all right, you know, let me just get past like the political nonsense.
So the fact that you both have this mutual culture.
Yeah,
you're
so
here
it's like
for a hip hop show.
And I've been doing this long enough to know that it doesn't help me if something negative is happening. It's like I either have to like shut down a little bit and be like, all right, let's take a step back like mentally and let's see if we could like diffuse the situation. Okay. Again, like I've been doing this a long time, like close to 30 years. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, and
who was the DJ for the Juggernauts?
Yes.
My story with the Juggernauts is when I first met Talib Kweli at Mkibu, and he booked me for some of my first shows. Shout out to Kweli. I remember asking him about his favorite music, and he said the Juggernauts, specifically Clear Blue Skies.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you were DJing for the Juggernauts.
Yeah. And again, it's like when you do these shows, like you're dealing with all these personalities, and like not everyone is humble. Like if you've talked to Breeze is like one of the most humblest people. Breeze Bruin. He's like one of the most
sick MC.
Yeah. And then, but at the same time, it's like you may run into someone else who is just like, it has to be this way. Yeah. It has to be this way. You know what I mean? Right.
And you consider them still valuable?
Yeah. I mean,
you might not want to go on tour with them,
right?
Like people with Juggernauts.
But like exactly. So it's like, it's like dealing with those kind of like eccentricities and like different personalities. It's like dealing with anybody in life. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's not gonna want to be your friend. They may not think you're important, and you're there to serve them. So it's like you have to. Again, I don't think it helps to be, to fight, to counter that negativity with negativity. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's like, all right, like, it's almost like killing them with kindness, Like
so that makes me feel like as a hip hop artist, that's my gift. The gift that I can rap or play beats, right. or go to the Black Book, you know what I mean, or break, dance. Like, we're breaking out of the paradigm. Right. If you get negative and I get negative, we have this other ability,
right.
And maybe that signals to other people they have something else to do.
Right.
It's not saying there's not conflict, it's saying we're actually expecting conflict. Right. And that's why we have these elements.
Right. And again, it's like, again, you're going to the origins of hip hop. It's like, I'm sure a lot of those cats, those the pioneers, whether it was Herc or Flash or Tony out there, it's like more one on occasion, like all of them mentions like, we were surrounded by negativity. There was like how many hundreds of gangs in New right. York, and it's like after a while, it's like there's only so much, there's only so much violence you can fight with violence.
Right.
Like the whole idea of violence begets violence is very true. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, I punch you, I knock you out, your friend wants to knock me out, then my friend wants to knock him out. So it's like, it just becomes this thing. It's like, it only works maybe the first time, and then you know what I mean? So it's like, you have to change your tactic, and I'm sure when... And
you practice martial arts too.
Yeah, I do practice martial arts, so it's like...
So you see parallels between art, martial arts, and kind of Zen spirituality.
Yeah, and also like that, the whole idea of like you kind of like at one point you were going in a direction I was thinking of like, you're always progressing. It's like, I mean, even when I talk to my teachers, it's like, because I've been studying this, martial arts for a little bit now, and I remember early on, like he was talking about, him getting his black belt, like when he achieved, this rank of black belt, and he was just like, it's just a symbol, to be quite honest. He was like,
it's a symbol that
you've achieved.
You know how to progress. So now keep progressing.
Exactly,
right?
And and it was something that made me think, it's like, because a lot of people who like study, martial arts, whatever martial arts it is, it's like, I got my black belt now, I don't have to study anymore. But it's like, that's so untrue, like even whether you got your degree or your black belt, it's like the real learning starts after that. Like, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to adapt with the knowledge that you have now? I mean, even this whole
You said that perfectly.
this whole DJing thing, whether you know, like, you know, Trouble Kid was asking me like, oh, you know, can you give me advice about like, you know, scratching and stuff like that. I was like, well, you know, there's a whole vocabulary of scratches that you know you should know about and you should look into. But like as I was talking to him about this, it kind of reminded me of like. The fact, like I remember saying, it's like, all right, like, I know to do this scratch. Now, like I don't need to learn anything else. And then it's just like I see someone do something like, you know, I should learn that also. And it's just like, it's frustrating, you know, like the learning process is like, I mean, for some people, you know, they love it, but at times I feel like it's frustrating because it's like, oh man, I gotta learn another thing. It's like, but it's like. There's that frustration, like, I gotta learn another thing, but there's an excitement of like what I can do with that. Like if I do learn that, I could do something.
That answers way beyond perfectly. DJ Boo, thank you for rocking.
Yeah.
If I could kind of clarify that before we end off, it's like that's what life actually is.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like, did I do this thing yet? Did I do that thing in the back to life? But if you look at it as an approach to dealing with real life, well, real life always has a new challenge.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It always has a conflict. It always has enemies, but more importantly, it's usually people we love or our friends that we're trying to deal with and get through conflict. So if you look at it, oh, I got this far, so I know how to challenge myself.
Right.
And that's what we want y'all to do. So we're gonna give y'all some assignments to differentiate between just doing hip hop and living hip hop. Even this class, maybe y'all can start thinking now, not just thinking of this class as something to get a certificate or say you know hip hop, but as something that helps you approach conflicts and approach adding on to what is hip hop so that y'all can come back and inform me, because I'm still learning, Boo's still learning. We would love to hear some of y'all opinions, and maybe we'll get you on a Zoom call in the fall during the semester. I want to invite some of the guests and we can see if we learned something from the students. All right, thank you, brother.
Yeah, man.
Love.
Yeah.
DJ Boo Plus featuring Self-Suffice and Caliman.